Hello, in this video I will show you how to use pivot tables. So here we have our office supplies companies called Axe Supplies, and we would like to answer some questions here about our data. So you see we have a date, salesperson, department, continent, item, quantity, price and revenue. And this data set is about 60 rows, and without having to use formulas we can use something called pivot tables. So before we insert a pivot table here, we want to know the answer to a few questions. We want to know how many items here have we sold, how many rulers have we sold, scissors, erasers, etc. Don't forget to highlight your data set here and convert it into a table first. Why? The reason is because if you enter another data right below here, your data will automatically get updated. So if you don't use a table, it will not get automatically updated and you will have to manually expand your range for your pivot table. And that's a bit tedious, so we're not going to do that. So let's create our table here. Control T, table headers, and perfect here. So now we're going to insert our pivot tables here. And it's very important that your data set is clean, like there's no blanks or anything. So let's go and insert our pivot table from table/range. Let's use new worksheet here. Click OK. So let's see here. Here is where our pivot table will be built, and here is our pivot table fields. And these areas is where we can drag and drop these fields. So let's say we wanted to find the total quantity of each item. So what we can do is we can drag item to rows or columns perhaps, but in this case it's a lot more visually appealing if you put it into rows. And now we want to find the quantity, and it's important whether you want to find the total quantity, revenue for example, then you should pull it into the values section. Why? Well, that's because here in the values area there will be some specific calculations like sum, average, count. So we're gonna drag our quantity into the values area. And here is our answer here. Duct tape, eraser, 146, paper clips, 139. So we can also sort this to make it a bit cleaner here. So we see that rulers have performed quite well, and paper clips have not. So here you can also change the name here if you want to. You can remove the sum here. But there's one issue here. Your pivot table field already exists. This means that your header here cannot be the same name as the field. So you can enter in a space here. So let's try updating our source data and see what happens. Since we already converted this into a table, let's copy in another data. Some more data here. Let's copy this one. And we see our table has expanded down here. But keep a close look on scissors here. The table has not been updated yet. So what you need to do after you've entered new data is you need to click refresh, either here, or you can right click here, press refresh. We see that it has changed, if you don't see here, to 173. So that's why you should always make sure that your source data is in tabular format. Okay, so let's create something more here. Let's say we want to create a chart out of this. We can use something called pivot chart. Right here. Column. And here we have a nice looking chart. However, a bit of clutter on this chart. We want to remove the title here, the legend. And we want to remove these buttons here. So let's right click, hide all fill buttons, or you can do it up in the pivot chart analyze here. If fill buttons, hide all. So let's hide all again. There we go. And if for some reason this pivot table menu doesn't show up, you can click on the field list here in pivot table analyze. Okay, so let's make this chart a bit cleaner. Remove the background lines here. Let's change our font to Arial. Increase the size a bit to 11. Let's insert data labels. Let's change our tabs here. Change the bars here. That's good enough. And then let's change our data labels here to label position, inside end, and change the color to white and make it bold. Let's increase the size a bit, 14, and then let's change the color for the bars to dark blue. So here we have a nice looking chart. So here we have a visualization and seeing the rulers 204, paper clips 139. Let's add another step here. Let's play a bit with filters. So we can enter, for example, continent here. And we get another row here. So we can go now, select, let's select Europe, for example. And we see our pivot chart automatically updates here. So this is our Europe chart. It says rulers is still doing very well and paper clips is not doing so well. But instead of having to use the filter area here, then we can use something called slicers. So let's insert slicer here and choose continent. And here we have it. Let's clear here, clear filter. And we can choose Asia, Europe, North America, South America. You can also use multiple choice. South America, Europe, and Asia, and Africa. Okay. And also another tip here, if you want to remove the grand totals here, you can go to Design, Grand Totals, Off for rows and columns. Nice. So let's try to answer a second question. Let's say we want to know the revenue for each salesperson during 2023 and 2024. We want to see the years. So for that, let's try and create another pivot table here. So what we can do, instead of creating an entire new pivot table, we can copy this one right here, put it down here, and let's remove these fields and enter, put salesperson in rows, can put revenue in values, and in columns we're gonna put date. And here you will get quite a lot of automatic date fields here. So remove months and the regular date and quarters. We only want years in this case. And we can sort this data if we want to. But the problem here is you will see that the formatting is quite odd. So don't use Ctrl+1 when trying to fix the formatting, because it will only format the cell you're highlighting. So instead you should go to number format here. Number 0, let's use this one just in case, but we don't have any number larger than 1000 here. And here we can see the sales for the revenue for each salesperson here. And in this case, we can turn on grand totals for the rows here. so we can see the total revenue as well for each person. So let's go to pivot table analyze, design, grand totals on for rows only. And here we can see our total revenue for each salesperson. And here we can see on the years. So the each empty one here means that there was no revenue. Okay. We can also insert a timeline. So we can remove the dates column if we want to. And also sort this data if you wanted to make it prettier. Remove the sum of and enter a space there. And let's go to years. We can manually drag this to 2023. So here's our revenue for each salesperson during 2023. So these are a few ways on how we can use pivot tables in Excel. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.